So, looking for clusters visually. You've done it before. I know you have in Math 200. You do it in R. In particular, there's a very famous data set involving penguins, and you look for clusters in it. Um, so the idea is familiar to us. Let's do it in Python. So we've tentatively suggested that women were more likely to survive the Titanic disaster, children were more likely to survive, and wealthier passengers were more likely to survive. Let's see if we can find such an effect in a scatter plot. So I've actually already shown you this scatter plot and pointed out the cluster, but um, here orange represents survival, and there clearly is a cluster here. Like for the most part, the survival dots, the orange dots are kind of spread around, but here we see a lot of orange dots together. And that suggests to us that the very young children on the Titanic, the infants at least, were probably more likely to survive than adults. So we see this cluster and it suggests something to us. What about women? Women and children first. We could create essentially a scatter plot. That is, if we type this, if I type sex here, then even though sex is not numerical and scatter plots are designed to work with numerical data, I can generate this. Seaborn realizes sort of what I want to do. And looking at this, it's pretty clear we're seeing a lot more orange over here. But but this is hard to parse. I mean, there are what, 800 some data points in this data. We're not seeing 800 dots. And I mean, that's because every dot can represent multiple people. Like we'll see later, there are two male passengers who paid this fare, and they're showing up as a single dot. So, although it's not my intent to try to show you every type of graph Seaborn can generate, there are a lot of them. Here's maybe a new one, a swarm plot. It did, nope, it did like that. Just a pause in the compiling for some reason. So here we can see all of the points. And as far as clusters go, something immediately appears. I've suggested, or I guess popular culture has suggested, and the data has maybe sort of suggested that wealthier people survived at a higher rate than lower class passengers. And we do see, we'll talk about these later, we do see these super wealthy passengers, or as we'll later see, one super wealthy passenger and his servants. We do see survival up here, but here's a cluster and here's a cluster. And these clusters, at least at first blush, are telling a pretty clear story. And that story is that wealthier male passengers did not tend to survive, while wealthier female passengers did tend to survive. And you know why that is going to come down to, I assume, sociological questions. But it's what we see in the data. A clear cluster here, a clear cluster here.